Hey, what's going on, everyone? And welcome to the Deceptilab. And this is your boy Freeze with the weekly live stream. And today, we're going to be talking about the next weapon that's going to come to the game, and that is going to be the Cosmic Rust Cannon. It is, or Cosmic Rust Blaster, I should say. It is going to be for just different bots this go around, and it won't just be anything. I know the last couple of weapons we got were bot specific and everything like that. uh People didn't really care for that too much, so this time we're gonna have more options. And I kind of want to go down the list of things that I would like to see to improve Transformers Earth Wars in 2024, next year. So, if you guys are already in the chat, let me know in the chat what kind of things would you like to see improved. I want to have a back and forth conversation about this today. So, yeah, let me know in the chat what kind of things would you like to see improved in Transformers Earth Wars. Let me know in the chat. All right, but before we get into any of that, let's go into this week's newsletter, where we will talk about this week's event called This Corrosion, uh, appropriately titled because, as we said, we're going to go get that Cosmic Rust Blaster this week. So, let's see. So, it's the final week of this part of the saga, and it's going to be an individual totalizer. So this is going to be our typical 50K totalizer that we're going to have. Um, you're going to have a chance to potentially win the Cosmic Rust Blaster. It's going to have some 5-star combat shards, premium combat chits, and tons of combat spark. It's the premier event to go get those items in the saga. And so you can actually see it's the typical price chart. Now with the Cosmic Blaster, you're gonna have the event chips, and so the biggest thing is the event chips. You've got a 25% chance to get either the 4-star, 3-star, or 2-star. Uh, they say combat there. Technically, it's a weapon, but Cosmic Rust Blaster. And then you got a 75% chance to get 30 of your 5-star combat shards, something that most of us need in the game. So that's how that's going to break down. And so you'll have a chance to get one of those event crystals in each one of your prestiges. So you'll get a chance to get 50 of them total. Typical battle zones. They still got the season 22 Cyber Pass up there. And then Texas Hammer was able to put out some graphics and some stats for your Cosmic Rust Blaster. We'll talk about that in a little bit in a minute. Um, but overall, I think that most of us in playtest enjoyed testing the Cosmic Rust Blaster. Um, and Tex kind of made the same point that I was talking about earlier, that you know every time we got a weapon so far, it's been something that was unique to a specific character or something like that. So now we're starting to get into some with a little bit more flexibility. You can use them on a lot of different bots. Some of your Pretty much all of your bots that can hold ranged weapons, that's who's going to be able to use these. So that's definitely a good improvement. uh Kind of short week for the news this week. As always, check out all of your official content creators: Engineer Hoist, myself, Soldier, and Sunstreak Awaza. And then saga schedule, we're at the end of that particular season, so we're going to be going into the 50K. And it actually added for the upcoming for season 23. They added a week, and partially because of the holidays. But the big thing for me is in about 2 weeks we're gonna have that 4-star Titan event. I will say I'm not ready to show off too much yet as far as the new Titans for the Arc on the Autobot side and the Nemesis on the Decepticon side, but they do look really, really good from what I've seen so far. So more to follow on that. Hopefully next week I can go in there into more details about that. Um, but it is on the way. Um, Space Ape did tell us in playtest that they plan on releasing some details tomorrow. So hopefully that holds true, because everybody's waiting around to see Like, how much is this thing gonna cost? Hopefully they keep it consistent to the way that it's been in the past. That's even though I don't like grinding out long events, so yeah, I do like the Titan. I think I'm gonna go for that one, and I'll probably bypass the endurance event this time. Depending on what the bot looks like, I'm actually leveling a lot of bots right now. I got 3 new 5 stars this past week, so we'll talk about that in a little bit too. But yeah, it calls it the Adder week because they're trying to, it's the end of the year push. They're gonna try to go and get some new content out there towards the end of the year. All right, community corner, nice artwork as always. Yeah, that's tough. I like that. Let's see. We'll look at some bug fixes and improvements. So there've been a lot of problems with Gnaw and his minions, um, and haven't wanted to spawn where they've been told to. They're trying to fix that again. Hopefully that'll be good with. Hopefully that'll be good. And tomorrow it says Thursday the 29th. So I'm assuming they mean Thursday the 30th. So tomorrow. And then Blue Streak and Wild Rider, they had an area of effect where Blue Streak is supposed to slow down and reduce health, but that hadn't really been working, so that's supposed to be fixed. And then they had a speed reduction problem with Pipes and Headstrong. That's supposed to be fixed as well. And then the Apes will do another team stream right before Christmas. And that is the news for this week. So let's go ahead, flip over to the chat, and let's see who we got with us today. And it looks like my good buddy Lord Avix was first today. I think it's been a little bit since you've been first in here, so welcome, buddy. Uh, my good friend, moderator, and fellow content creator, the Mercenary Terror, is in here, and he's reminding you guys to make sure that you subscribe. He called me by my full government name, Freezius Maximus. uh, but yeah, I appreciate you, buddy, for all you do. And if you guys ain't seen his content, man, check him out, man. He's awesome, good friend, and great moderator, and even greater content creator. So check him out. We got the homie E Rods in here today. Says what's up. Thanks for joining me, buddy. Uh, Another good homie of mine's LJ Gav is in here with us, as well as my teammate Candyman, another good friend. And he's already joking, he's already clowning in the chat. He says the Cosmic Rust Blaster, the next great weapon until the apes nerf it. So I'll say this. I think most of the adjustments that needed to be made, I think we made already. I might be wrong, but it was very, very OP when we first got it. Like, not gonna lie to you. But I think for what it does at this point, I think it's looking pretty good. So we'll take a look here in a minute. Um, Candyman also got all of his war bots to Sergeant right on time because I imagine that you're talking about those captain ranks are coming, and that's the part that I missed last week when I was out. I was way behind on Thanksgiving stuff, so I took care of that last week. So apologies for not streaming, but yeah, that captain rank is coming soon, and so we're gonna go see what kind of boost we get with that. They also started talking about there's gonna be some rank skips potentially in the work. So we'll see how that goes as well. And yeah, we'll see what happens, man. I think it's gonna be, and I'm playing around my lighting a little bit, so bear with me. But yeah, we'll see how it goes, guys. I think that we're gonna have um I think it's going to be awesome. The apes are expressing that they want to give a little bit of a catch up for players who haven't been getting their ranks. So, if you got all your stuff at sergeant, man, like, yeah, that's awesome. I only got like 2 or 3 bots at sergeant, and both of them got pulled off my war team. So that's kind of a bummer, but yeah. Let's see. We got another fellow content creator and good friend, Robert C4, as in addition to another good friend and content creator, Big Blades. Thanks for joining, guys. We got the homie Autobot Phil in here with us again, as well as Big Joe. What's up, Big Joe? Spencer 394 with us again. Thanks for joining, Spencer. And let's see. We got Stephen Shuh is with us again. Thanks for joining. My playtest buddy, King Grimlock, is with us again. And yeah, so thanks for joining King Grimlock. I was actually just reading from some of the comments at the same time because uh, Big Joe was like, "Why didn't they do lieutenant before a captain?" I was like, I'm assuming because they said when they first started this thing, it's only going to be 5 ranks, so might as well just go ahead and move up. uh, and if we got anybody that I missed, or if we got anybody lurking, just give me a shout. But that looks like that's who we got in the chat so far. So let's go ahead. Let's go take a look at this cosmic rust weapon that we got here. So I'm gonna go pull it up so we can look at it stat wise in here. Go to bot cores, weapons, and I'll actually swap over to a different screen so we can look at it. And I just been doing some playing around. Like I actually wasn't planning. Actually, no. At one point I was planning on using this on drag strip because I was using him as he's a rotational bot that I put in my war team sometimes. But so this is 5-star version, and I got it in there maxed out. And for that, basically, it says blast cosmic rust. It spreads to multiple targets. The targets receive. And right now, we got it at 40%. I think we had it as high as 60 at one point. Um, but it's from. It's basically going to be something that you can combo with all the different elements. So if you're using anything with acid, fire, or electricity, um, and then they will also be slowed down by 30% for 10 seconds. Um, you get the standard 32% boost on the 5-star, and I actually had a reset here on my 4-star, so I'll go throw some levels on the 4-star as well so you can see it. Um, yeah, because lately I have been asking for a lot of stuff. Like even when I was doing the Titan, I had to ask for more of the I had to ask for more of the Titan Spark and stuff like that. I don't know what's been going on. I always been a little bit light on certain stuff. But yeah, I think it's a good. I think it's going to be a good weapon. And if you guys have been watching me for a little while, you know that at one point I was talking about just getting something more out of your elements, and I actually want to see the elements combo with each other a little bit. But this is a nice compromise, I feel like, because obviously right now everybody's using acid. Right now, everybody, I like to use fire and acid because they combo together as well. So you are trying to create effect where you can get some of this stuff to stack, and it helps for when you pounding on some of these defenses. So yeah, I think it's cool. Um, it kind of filled that hole that I had in in my heart because I wanted to have those elements get taken advantage of more, and I wanted to be in war effects. And even though they did a little bit of fire and electricity, um, with electricity you just got to worry about some bots just being too strong, uh, and then you start turning into, well, do we nerf some bots so we can push this? So this is a healthy compromise, I feel like. But with the 4-star version, same stuff for the most part, except for the damage increases going to be 22%. So it'll still be good for you if you. It'll be good for you if you go get the 4-star this weekend. So uh, definitely let me know if you do pull that 4-star this weekend. All right, so that's the part that I didn't show. Let's see who we can equip this to. That's always one of the things that everybody's always interested in, because I can see Tara say, put it on Snaps, talking about Snapdragon, I'm assuming. So he's not one of the ones that's equipable, but like a lot of any of your bots that can hold like gun type stuff. So you got a lot of your gunners, a lot of your special class that can hold ranged weapons. Those are going to be the ones that you can actually equip this onto. So that gives you a pretty good selection. You got a couple of guys up there that actually work well. Let's say I see Ramhorn's usually short range. He can use it. Let's see. You got no. You actually can use it on. Let's do it. Yeah, yeah. If you want me to try it, I can try it out on them. Let's see. Yeah, so you got a lot of choices there. We can run a base trial and just to see what it looks like real quick. Like I say, I like it. It's a pretty cool weapon. I didn't get the comment on the newsletter today about how I felt about it, but yeah, it works pretty good, man. Not gonna lie to you, I like it a lot. So let's see who we got down there. We got what is it? Snapdragon. I can actually just go to triple changes. We can put that Snapdragon in there, and we'll just take a look and see what that Cosmic Rust looks like. I know a lot of you guys probably saw it on the Space Ape stream. Um, I was always like to show off new stuff, man. I think it's gonna be good. I think I'm gonna push pretty hard in the event this weekend. Not really doing too much. I did want to get some house cleaning though, and I said that's gonna be tough if I'm playing the game a lot. So I might just do it in little spurts. But cool. So we'll actually zoom in a little bit. And it's a nice visual effect there. You can see the Cosmic Rust running. Now the key here is this is not going to be something you're going to use as a standalone. You're going to need to take a buddy with you. So I got my um, knockout, which I need to go back and start it over again because I was talking. But um, if you go pair this with fire or electricity or anything like that, acid, it's going to work out really well for you. So let's actually take a look and run a test with it, comboing with fire and acid. And all right, let me see. He said turn my mic up. So yeah, I can turn it up a little bit. I know at one point, folks said like I was shouting at them or whatever. And King Grimlock actually made a good point. He says that the weapon's not OP because rust is not spread on every shot, and that's actually a really good point because, um, and honestly, when we first heard the concept for this, um, I, there was obviously some concern. They were talking about it's like at 60%, and it was super high. But at the same time, when you look at it and that cosmic rust isn't going off every shot like that, it adds a little bit of flexibility to it. It adds a little bit element of, like right here, I'm not even targeting them. I'm actually targeting run amok. But you could see how quickly it was able to take out some of those defenses up there in the front, or some of those resource buildings in the front. It actually works pretty well, and I'll run it a little bit in a test with a full team just to see how it goes. But yeah, the fact that it's not spreading on every shot actually adds to it. It's gonna be one of those things where the cosmic rust is gonna come out there in intervals, so that kind of helps balance it out a little bit. So let's see. I'll just take it into the prime zone, and I'll run my whole team, see how it works out. I think I'm gonna take him out though. Let's see. Who I want to stick in here. So I actually let me stick one of my new. So this is my test account, but this weekend I actually wound up getting 3 new 5 stars. One of them I wound up getting. Well, I'm not gonna put him in there. Sorry, Robert C4. But I wound up getting Leozak. I got T2 Megatron this weekend, and I also ended up getting Half Shell. So that's gonna be cool. Definitely looking forward to that. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna put my drag strip back in. So from a team synergy standpoint, what I was looking for is to, because I already got my bots that I got Fracas on. I got my bots that I got one bot that I keep Fireline on, and as you can see, that's a knockout. So for me, I wanted to try to go take another bot and give him something to combo off of. So that's kind of where I'm at. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. Robert C4 said he's not mad I ain't used Leozak. Bro, I hadn't even leveled Leozak at all yet, so I'll probably do some of that this weekend. And even though this is like a lower level zone right there, you can see with that cosmic rust, everything comes down relatively quickly. Um, yeah, I think in where the game currently stands, where you're depending more on combos than we had been in the past, I think it's great. I'll definitely use it, and I'm actually looking forward to it. I hope I pull a 4 star, and I'm sitting on about 3 pulls worth. Um, I'm sitting on about 3 pulls right now for combat bots, so we'll see how it goes. I might wait around for a little bit. I might wait around for a little bit and just see what I come up with for in regards to combats. I haven't pulled a combat in a while. And the biggest thing for me is there's just not enough combat spark in the game. And so like if I can pull all the combats I want, but if I can't put any spark into them, I want to max them out. And so right now I'm getting close to the point where I can max out one. So until I get to that point, I probably won't pull anything else. And hopefully the ones that I pull will be something I actually want. So we'll see how close I get this weekend. If I try to finish this event this weekend, I will definitely be over 3 pulls for combats. But I will also probably be well on my way to my next pull for combats too. Yeah, King Grimlock says T2 is money. Yeah, I'm definitely so I prioritize this weekend or this week period. I prioritized half shell. In here on my test account, I just got him in there with Lance Alarm, but I got to figure out how I want to build him. I do get his G1 half shell core, so I know that I probably don't need it right. Well, I'll need it at first, but I probably won't need it for a while down the stretch if I level him up fast enough. My goal is to try to see if I can, I might skip him. I might coin him out this week because I'm almost at 50, and then I'll try to get him closer to 60 over the weekend. We'll see how that goes. T2, as everybody know, like when TT first came out, dude, I actually like him a lot, and so I'm gonna try to, I'm gonna try to run him this weekend as well. But the priority for me is gonna be half shell, just because he just gonna do so much damage. He's gonna, they both do a lot of damage, but this is gonna be what helps you with the shield generator a lot. When you're looking at a bot like half shell. So half shell and road buster are really starting to come into the meta a lot. Um, and it's one of those things that keeps you from having to depend too heavily on acid. So um, I liked them when he first came out for that reason, even though a lot of people say that's a little niche of a bot. But then we did the rework when they made the 5 star and of gave him a little bit of line damage to foes in that shot's path, and that actually made him a lot better. And he's one of those bots that you can use easily on the MDS. So Let's see. Yeah, Tony B joined us. Said Half Shell's a killer right now. Let's see. Yeah, and that's what I agree with you. Tony B is saying that after 67, you don't need half shells G1 anymore, and can get a prime core on them, and that's probably what I'm going to be looking at once I get to that point. Like I said, I'll probably get them to 50 tonight after I go chill. Um, I'm gonna unfortunately that's gonna cause me to have to skip them if I want to go use it this weekend. I was trying to get them to 50 earlier, um, but it just didn't work out like that. Uh, my good buddy and teammate, uh, well, yeah, former teammate, Ripping Griffin there said T2 easy to level. Yeah, and I like it. He's got the good range now. I liked him the way he was before, but he'll be easy to level. I should be able to do a lot of soloing with him and get those levels going too. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Um, Let me know what you guys think of this new Cosmic Rust Blaster. I think it's now the comparison that always comes up is people are always going to compare new stuff to whatever's hot in the game right now. And obviously, right now, Fracas and Nightstick are who you want as combat bots. Um, but I think this is a good complementary piece to those, especially because they're gonna have the acid and those bursts in those bursts, and a lot of people are already using acid bots anyway. For me, I like to use knockout at shorter ranges. So if I can pair that up with the cosmic rust, now I've got a good enhancement for his ability. And yeah, yeah, I'm pretty content with this weapon, and I think that I'll try to push forward and probably save for the 5-star version. So when it comes out, and so yeah. But anyway, I want to talk about a couple of things that I would like to see in the game going forward in 2024, and I basically there's lots of things that we can always talk about to try to make the game better. But there's a couple of things in particular, and I broke it down to about 5 things that I wanna focus on at least for the day. And so, if you guys got things that you want to see change in Transformers Earth Wars, let me know. Um, but I think I'm gonna start with the first thing, and the first thing for me is well, I'm gonna pick them randomly, so they're in no particular order. But the first thing for me is I want to see a consistent schedule with the war effects. And the reason why I want to see that is when you go look, and I'm gonna go back into my base trial. But for me, I want to see more war effects, and I want to see them affect more leagues because so this is what we have currently as our war effects, right? And that's cool. That's relatively recent. We just got that, you know, maybe a month and a half ago. But what a lot of us found, especially in playtests, was that the changes were kind of mid. They didn't really, you know, and I get it. I'm a huge advocate for hey, you can make something easier before you go make it harder. I do think that we still got to come out with the next HQ phase of HQ18 phase, and you know, that's going to wind up making the game harder. So they want to do something easier when they gave us the additional fire damage, the additional electric damage, cool, stuff like that. But the last time I want to say that we got any changes to war effects before that, I want to say it was in February of this year. We had to wait till October. October, was it September, to get another set of effects. So one of the things that I'm looking at is when you look at war effects, you got a lot of players who, especially at the prime league, at the top players, a lot of those guys want to see the game get harder, as it should be, because when you built a big enough of a collection of bots, when you got a good collection of combats, you got good team synergies, you got bots that you can rotate in and out. one of the things that, and then, oh, and when you start to get your ranks, if you got one of those teams like Candyman has where you got all sergeants and stuff, the game eventually does become too easy for you, and Prime League hard mode is supposed to be the top level of play. So one thing that I would always think would be fun is when you use the war effects, if you rotate them around, at a minimum, you got to use different bots. Even if you have that same collection of bots, um, that you've used in the past, you at least got to think about it a little bit more. And you say, hey, you're not going to just keep carrying the same team over and over and over to every battle if you focus those war effects on the defensive side. So for me, I definitely wanted to try to do that, more war effects. And I said this in playtest a couple of months ago, and I said it a lot. Like I said it repeatedly, just because I wanted I wanted these war effects to, just keep a pull of them. Like, I don't want it to be one of those things where you just walk in there one day and say, "Hey, what should we do?" And I was like, "Well, if we kept a constant pool of war effects, then you can always kind of change them, and you can kind of force metas based off of what bots you have. But right now, a lot of people is just like, hey, once you get a certain bot, I'm just gonna keep it. I'm just gonna keep those same bots and run them on those teams. So I think that if you put a little bit of thought into it and stop trying to randomly just put bots into if you stop trying to randomly put bots into these situations for the war effects, and you actually focus and say, hey, I want to counter this bot or that bot in a set of war effects, and you have them like I'd say ideally I like to see them every month, but every 2 months or so, because war effects are typically, from a designing standpoint, really really easy to change. I'd be all for it. So let's see what we got going on in the chat. I'm just gonna let that run in the background, and let's see. Robert C. Ford still in there talking about the breast force, him and mercenary terror. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. What would you think about if we had the opportunity to have just more frequently occurring war effects? I think that'd be really good. All right, so the next thing that I was looking at is I would love to see a better schedule for 5-star batches. And the reason for that, and I'm actually going to pull up some notes that I had up here, because a couple of weeks ago I was talking about when I on my last live stream, not last week but the week before that, I was talking about all the different bots that we got over the course of this year. And like honestly, like as far as endurance bots, it's taken way too long for endurance bots to come out. And when I go look at the list, and let's see, so we still, like, they skipped over Braun and Full Tilt. They said it was going to be too soon after he came out to try to go do a Braun and a Full Tilt. So for me, I was like, okay, so he got put on the back burner, and I actually know some people that's waiting on Braun and Full Tilt to come out. So um, I would imagine he's going to be in the next batch. But how long is that going to take? So you know what I mean? Like, we just had a 5-star batch, but what we're having is Braun and Full Tilt haven't come out yet, right? Then Ariel and Scylla have not come out yet. Um, you've got uh, Alpha Trion and Tarn have not come out yet. Which, you know what I mean, they it hadn't been too long for them, so it's not too bad. But you know that that Braun and Full Tilt, that's been a long time. Let's see, who else do we got in here that has not come out yet? Now, I actually saw somebody mention today that Drill Horn is not in the batch yet, but I mean, they that's a rework. They just made him in a rework, and honestly, I would imagine that's gonna take a long time for him to come out, just because they hadn't, it hadn't been that much time, and you gotta have some incentive when you do any kind of endurance event. You've got to have some incentive for you to actually hit the event. So I think there does need to be a nice period of exclusivity. I think about 8 months is cool. That'll be about 4 sagas. I know a lot of people want them faster than that, but what I think is going to have to happen is they're going to have to start bringing out 5-star batches a little bit faster to try to keep up, or you're going to wind up having bots that don't come out for like a year and a half after they hit the endurance batch. Um, you know, case in point, Junk Heap and Retgar. Um, well, not case in point, but Junk Heap and Retgar are another ones that haven't come out. But the case in point is like for like uh for like Braun. That's it's been a long wait for him to come out. I know everybody is wasn't overly excited about Braun and Full Tilt, but for them, it is a good electro electric pairing, so that you can kind of use him as a detonator when you go look at his ability. So um, would be cool for it to actually come out. So, but now you're looking at a backlog of about 5 or 6 bots that haven't come out yet into Transformers Earth Wars in the regular batches, and that shit might have sailed by the time they come out. So, yeah, I know. And Robert C. Ford confirmed to say Dale said he would come out in the next batch with exhaust, and yeah, and yeah, and the thing is, for me, and I was actually planning on starting a blog. I had started writing some ideas down the other day, and one of the things that I was looking at was um, was like just different questions that people asked. That I was like, hey man, there are better questions to ask than that. You know, and and one of the things I was talking about is like people. I don't know, like when people start talking about when stuff is coming out, and that's like for me, I'm one of them people that's like, I'm never really in a rush for 5 stars to come out because I feel like I want to collect as many of them as I can, and I feel like I'm falling behind a little bit if I don't get a good opportunity to collect enough 5-star shards to go and get the bots. But at the same time, I don't want players to have this long backlog of bots. And because now, especially with us about to get rank skips and stuff like that, one of the problems we're going to run into is that they're going to be players that have like way too many 5-star shards, and they're going to wind up getting all the if we get like a rank converter like the Space Ape is talking about, they're going to be at a huge advantage. So we got to find ways to make sure that they're using those um those 5-star shards. LJ Gav said exhaust won't be out in the next batch. They'll make that a 5-star Sky Rain. So I think the thing is, the cool thing that they did with exhaust is they did the rework for him as a 4-star. Even though I think he was already a pretty good 4-star, you just needed his ability to work better and have a little bit more area that it covered. And then Space Ape took care of that. It was one of the better ones that they did, in my opinion. Let's see. You got a couple of guys saying Waza talked about seemed so happy for Braun and then never talked about him again. So the problem is, and it's kind of like when I was talking about on my last live stream, a lot of these endurance bots like have been they've been good, but they've been you know kind of niche, and I appreciate the fact that Space Ape has been making these bots, and they've been making creative ideas, new ideas, fresh ideas for the endurance bots. But at the same time, um, sometimes what we want as players is a little bit more straightforward. Sometimes we want to get good damage, survivability, things like that. And sometimes I'll say this: sometimes players want things for the current meta when it's an endurance bot, and that's cool. Um, but what I would love to see is if every time we made an endurance bot, the endurance bot came out for the next meta, and then the meta adjusted, and then people will go back and be like, "Oh shit, I should have went and got this endurance bot because this is the problem. This is the resolution for that problem." So when we get to Half Shell and Roadbuster, I kind of saw that because Half Shell and Roadbuster were coming out right at the time when we would get ready to change that shield generator at phase 2. And I was like, "Hey man, I didn't know what was to come, but I was like, maybe that this shield generator was going to be such a problem, that something like Half Shell and Roadbuster would be warranted." And it wound up making it tough, but not overly tough to the point that top players are just like, "Oh man, I can't do anything with this shield cluster." But it would have been nice if he was the answer for that, because I think that if you build the bot before, then people get time to level them up, and then when that new meta comes, then the people who put into the endurance event just got it covered. And so we got to think about it from that way, from like an organizational standpoint on the half of Space Ape, to make these bots really, really good in the future. Uh, so I see some folks saying what they want to see in a batch. A lot of people, I actually seen a couple of people say they wanted Breakdown Prime for the 5 star. Rip and Griff says, "How come Skywarp hasn't been released yet? Because he fits the asset meta." Honestly, man, and let me go look real quick. Because for me, when I go look at Skywarp, man, honestly, Skywarp is actually really, really good, even as a 4 star. And when we first started doing the Legacy batch and we were going to try to do some of these reworks, his name actually came up. But then it was like, man, we started looking around. It's like, man, this dude's actually really good. Because when you look at his damage as a 4 star and everything, and the fact that it's over 10 seconds, like it would actually fit into the asset meta really, really well. Decent range, good damage, and everything. So I would like to see him as a 5 star. That would be dope. Candyman says Vortex needs a buff and a 5 star. Yeah, a lot of people been saying that. The thing is I do think this. I would like to see more legacy batches in the future, and I think the legacy batch probably should come before the 5 star batch. And the reason why I think that is you got to have a certain amount of buy-in when you go do these reworks, because you know if I told you that drill horn was going to be in the batch and you never got a chance to use them after, a lot of people was just like, "Hey, I'm already going to go do that individual event." And the rework drill horn is actually much better than the old drill horn, right? But you got to get that buy-in. And so if you take a bot that's a bad bot, if you take a bot that people say like Vortex, who they say, "Hey, he needs a rework," if you rework them during the 5 star process, people still might not have that buy-in. They still might not believe in them. But if you go do the legacy batch, and then later on he comes out as a 5 star, after people get a chance to play around with him a little bit, because you can do so with no risk, because you got the 4 star laying around. You can see what the new ability looks like, and then later on sell them into the 5 star batch. I think that for our community and the way that we view things, I think that would be a little bit more of a money money earner for you. So that's what I'm kind of looking at right now. Let's see. All right, let's go on to the next thing that I wanted to talk about as far as changes I want to see next year. So I would actually like to see. I would like to see. I want those individual totalizers to be for a combat. So I'm actually gonna go back to the newsletter for a second, and I'm gonna scroll up to where we're looking at this saga schedule. Because for me, when I look at this saga schedule and I see that we're doing an endurance event, that's always for the 5-star bot. To me, it just makes more sense to go have this week 4 event. And I remember when we first started doing the 50K combats, combat events, and it's cool. A lot of people, so it's a couple of pieces to it. A lot of people like doing individual events because if we're going to have large events, they want the large events to be individual. So a lot of people are worried about, hey, this guy's not doing their part in the alliance, and if you do a lot of stuff individual, then you can eliminate a lot of that. And plus, you don't have to move for a lot of those events like that. And you can see when you look at the event schedule, we're not doing a whole bunch of events where you got to move these days. They did have to add a larger, what we suspect to be a larger event will be the Titan event, and then also the endurance event. Um, but 2 sagas ago now, I think it was, man, they just started making all the events where you could get additional XP after you get the main prizes. And I actually enjoyed those a lot because I felt you know, like this weekend, for example, we had a 500K. And I had players in my alliance. It's like, hey man, Sunday morning. It's like I want to hunt more XP after the war, and I'm not going to stop anybody from hunting XP. I say I'm an officer in my alliance and stuff like that. But then you got to wait on hold for doing wars and stuff like that. Some people don't come back on time. So for me, one of the things that I was saying is that when you go do short events now, that's almost like a moving event because you might have half the alliance clear out to go hunt XP. So from a standpoint of an alliance leader, essentially you're having the same problems that you would have if you had a moving event. So that's what I'm kind of looking at. And I see that Swoop has joined the chat. Thanks for joining, Swoop. But so that's what I'm looking at more than anything else. I wanted to try to make the schedule where you have of your more of your even if we do more individual events, I want it to be focused more on allowing people to stay home for the XP, and then I want that combat. I want to actually go get the combat when I go do these combat events. I don't want to go do a chance event and then not get last couple of times I didn't get the 4 stars, or not the well, the last time I did get the 4-star version. The two or three times before that I didn't. So especially as we get these weapons, because I want to see how these weapons actually separate. And honestly, it bothers me a little bit when the batch doesn't break, uh, just because I like to increase my odds. Like right now, like I said earlier, I've got about 3 pulls that I could make off of combats, but I think that Space Ape is doesn't want to have everybody get every combat just so easily, but we don't have a whole lot of combat spark. So if you don't have the combat spark to support it, um, I can take that time, see which bots I get. I can start saving some of my combat spark, and then everything will be cool. But at the same time, we got to get there first. Right now, when you look at that event schedule, the last saga we didn't have that very much combat spark, and so you're depending solely on the 50K alliance totalizer to try to get your combat chips and combat spark. And to be honest with you, I don't like that. King Grimlock actually had a good idea in there. So, and you're not the first person I heard to say this, but it's like in 2024, one of the things we should have is a smaller alliance. And so, right now, when you look at alliance and you can hold 40 people in it, and Dude, I don't know about everybody else's alliance. Like I said, I'm in like a top 10 alliance. Not top 5 yet, and it is hard to keep these alliances full because people get frustrated with the game. People, people quit. People want to drop down as the game gets more difficult, and I think if you had smaller alliance requirements, trying to keep 40 players up there who are like-minded and who bring the same kind of energy to the game, the same kind of skill to the game, it is a little bit difficult. And I see Master Ninjas in there, joined us in the chat, talking about the 5-star converter. Yeah, and that converter, if we can use that to go get some ranks, that's probably going to be the method that I use. And honestly, I was telling some of you guys on Discord, I think I'm done getting pulling 5 stars for a little bit. It's tempting to go back in there and get Sentius Malice, but I don't need Sentius like that. I felt like I needed to go in there and get half shell because ultimately what I'm trying to build something like this because I'm still building my team around Slipstream. So that's air raid for you guys on the Autobot side, and and now I want to build up my half shell, which is Road Buster for you guys, and try to go get this worked out to where I got some good range and good damage options. You can see I'm just spamming the crap out of Slipstream and yeah, the Slipstream and Half Shell. But the reason why I keep doing that is because usually I would be using Terramander, but Terramander just doesn't do the same amount of damage. He just doesn't do uh half shell type damage. So I think what's Terramanda is what top spin on you guys' side. And so what I want to do, and probably next stream I'll actually show what I'm working on defense. But what I've actually been doing is because Terramander has that has that beam that's gonna reduce damage. I've been using that a lot on defense right before players get to my kill zone, and it just keeps them held up a little bit more, so it works out pretty good. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, this is what I was talking about. So when I look at Terramander, I actually got him posted up in the outpost with this exact setup, and honestly, right around this exact level on my live server, and just that lowering that enemy damage by 60% just really helps right in front of my kill zone. So I'm gonna take him off of the offensive side, leave him on the defensive side, put Half Shell in, who's gonna have more damage. Because right here, damage is a little bit short. It's just under 10k. Whereas when I'm looking at where I'm looking at Half Shell, now especially with the G1, he's clearly almost at 13k, so I can destroy a lot more. And honestly, he's probably going to survive in the game a lot longer as well, but due to his health and honestly due to the damage that he puts out. So I'm going to use that as my trigger for Slipstream. Uh, when I got tough stuff that I gotta hit, like if I gotta go hit, um, if I gotta go up here and I gotta go hit like a MDS or something like that, he's gonna take care of that. If I gotta go hit a shock tower, he's gonna take care of that too. Uh, oh, you were talking to me this whole time, Mercenary Terror. It was so he asked me. He said I had Amalgamous on. No, so that was a test that I was running. I had Amalgamous on Thundercracker because somebody was trying to convince me that somebody was going to trying to convince me that that was a really good pairing, and I was like, I don't think so. So I ran some tests on it to try to show them, and nah, I ain't like it. That's not something that I would use. But Yeah, somebody was trying to talk to me about that, and I was like, man, I don't know about that. So I got a playtest account. I'm gonna try it, and so that's what I did. So that's how that got there. I didn't realize you were talking to me this whole time about the amalgamous on Thundercracker. I thought you were talking to somebody in the chat. He said put Alchemist and Fracas on Octane. It works well, and I've seen a lot of people do that, and it does work well, especially Octane has now that he has that now that he has that shield. So I think with going back to the Thundercracker thing, I think what they were thinking in theory is because he was going. Now some people just like to just try to just pump additional damage out of it because you're gonna have that additional damage from Amalgamous while you're in your alternate mode. But I think that's overthinking it a little bit. I think that just use EO. I think they were looking at trying to get some healing regeneration, but I didn't see the value in it, and I kind of knew that before I started testing it. But I always tell people, if you come up with something, I'll look into it. Let's see. So Candyman had an idea and says that so he enjoys the midweek raids just for the change of scenery. They could do midweek mini events where you go fight the quintessence or something. Yeah, and you know that is stuff like that has come up where players are like, "Hey, man, we should add something else midweek," and the response is always, "Well, will that be something?" Because people are complaining about burnout and stuff like that, and they say if you give players something else to do midweek, the conversation always turns into like, "Is that a good thing?" Um, I think as long as you don't do things that are just take too much effort, I think for the most part it's going to be okay. But that's not always the case. You wind up getting stuff like Titan Assault, where it's boring, and even though you can do it in a couple of minutes, when you go look at like a Titan Assault mode or something like that, uh, anything that you doing during the middle of the week, it becomes a huge pain. So to some players, like for me, if it's something short that I can do in the middle of the week, I'm cool. That's why I like wars. That's why, I don't mind raids. It's just like a lot of times the raid starts right before I go to work, and then everybody else is taking care of all the stuff so quickly. But something to break up the monotony, and you still get to play the game. So, but like stuff like this is the one thing I'm not looking forward to when we get this new Titan. I'm just like, man, like I gotta go do this again. However many times, however many battles per week. They did shorten them down to 3. And now it's like, man, like the Titan is gonna win this battle. Like this is boring as hell to me. But like raids are cool. I used to actually be a huge fan of raids because they were challenging too. I actually wouldn't mind seeing more raid events on the weekends. I think they're easy. But when you got to go do regular farming, Titan Assault, elimination mode, you still got to keep up with your dispatch missions. People are bugging you all day about making sure that you donate to Alliance HQ. You know, I think that sometimes I think at this point they just added too much to the game, and they haven't added a lot of termination points to some of those modes so that you can bring in a new feature. uh, I see you guys saw that I play Honkai Star Rail. Yeah, I actually haven't played in a while. I do enjoy the game though. It's fun. So I actually do. Yeah, I play Honkai Star Rail. It's dope. Yeah, and I see a couple of other people in there that say they like to play raids. All right, so Robert C. Ford says leak the Nemesis. So let me look at something real quick. So yeah, I can't leak too much about it, but I will say this: I can show you. I can't show you what the stuff does, but you can actually see the Nemesis right there. I got mine's level 14. I just got the Titan Spark that I needed to upgrade them, and I can show you the logos. I'm not going to talk about powers and stuff like that yet. You know, abilities and stuff like that. I think it's too soon for that. But yeah, yeah, it's coming soon, man. It's gonna be pretty dope. So, and I will say, so far, from what I've seen so far, it looks like it's gonna be pretty good. Yeah, man, that Titan Assault, man, that's gonna be tough, man. Like, you talk about something that I haven't missed, and this is the thing. Like, Titans seem like, I think all three Titans that we get, they came right around the end of the year. They started talking about them, but at the same time, I think the last one, when we had uh when we had Fort Max and Scorponok, they actually pushed it till after the holiday, so it wound up being in the beginning of the year for that 4-star event. But like, it's always at the end of the year, you know, you're trying to prepare for Christmas and stuff, man. Like, and I'm saying, I'm wrapping up my last little bit of Christmas gifts and stuff like that, and we just keep having these larger events. So I'm just like, man, like, it's always at the end of the year like that. Um, but I hadn't heard too many complaints about it this time about getting the Ark and the Nemesis out here right now. So we'll see what happens. To your point, LJ Gabby, yeah, she does look good, and to be honest, um, they play good. They, these guys play really good. So hopefully next time we're on, I'll be able to show a little bit more about the Ark and the Nemesis. Highly Classified joined us and said they need to add Titans to the raids and events. Now I know the fear when we first got in to Titans is they were scared that we weren't that they were just that people were just going to just use the Titan. They were just going to destroy every base and everything like that. I I I agree with you. I think that you should be, but I like consistency. So if I'm using a Titan in wars, I'm using a Titan in farming. Like, I want to be able to use a Titan in like everything that I do. But I think that the fear, like for like Z farming, for example, they're afraid that you're going to wind up having too many Z energon points and stuff like that, um, which I understand. But I think we're a little bit past that point now. But yeah, that's what we're talking about. Let's see what else we got going on. But all right, guys. I think I'm gonna call it an evening. It's about time for me to eat. Um, but I will say this. I'm gonna go back to the lab for a second. Um, so a couple of things as far as like changes and stuff to the channel. I guess my duty position at work is actually going to be changing in about 6 or 7 weeks. So I might have to adjust my stream schedule a little bit for that. And if you guys remember, if you were on my channel last year, the basketball season starting up for my son again. So more to follow. I'm gonna have to readjust my stream schedule at some point when I know for sure what my schedule is gonna look like. I'll make sure I let you guys know on Discord, and I'll let you guys know in the my community section on YouTube as well. But all right, guys, thanks for joining me tonight. I will see you guys. So as far as next week, I'll still be on at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and so I'll see you guys there, and I'll see you on the battlefield. Freezy is out.